Okay, Michael. So with that, I think we're kind of done with this lesson. Those are the three things that I wanted to mention. Um, and I think we can now go back to where you left off and talk about what we have learned. Except I have the pen. And so you have to tell me what we've learned. I don't have to tell you.
This is true. So now, when you say the three things, what were the three things that you talked about?
Oh, you're trying to trick me into telling me what we've learned.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. So all right. So when I had the pen,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about two main things. Well, the overall topic is this CCC,
Right?
which is Comedy Central committees,
No.
closed caption clowns.
No.
So coordinating, communicating, and coaching.
Right.
Ha!
I think what we learned is that alliteration can be fun.
Yeah, well, sure. And in particular, I talked about two particular models. One was the DEC-POM-DP model,
Mm-hmm.
which at least let us define or ask questions about what it means to coordinate and communicate optimally when we've got agents that don't share a brain, but they do share a reward function. So what's good for each one of them is good for the community.
Right. Shared R, distinct brains. I like that.
Then we talked about the inverse reinforcement learning idea, which was that we could actually use examples of behavior or demonstrations of behavior to infer reward functions. And then once we have those reward functions, we could try to optimize them in other settings.
Yep. We go from behaviors to rewards instead of going from rewards to behavior. And that is what makes it inverse.
And having those rewards means that it generalizes to other settings as well.
Right. And I think that a point that I made on that when I started taking over the pen was that this actually is a kind of reward shaping by getting human beings to give us hints about what we ought to be doing.
Okay, but in the form of behavior demonstrations.
But in the form of behavior demonstration. Oh, and that is a nice little point worth making, which is demonstrations are one way to do coaching. What were the other ways we did some coaching?
So, yeah, demonstrations is one way to do. Oh, and then there was this kind of policy feedback or I guess you called it policy shaping.
Right.
But it was this sort of idea that you can give feedback on the actions being taken by the agent, and that can be incorporated or combined with other suggestions as well as what the learner is picking up on its own.
And so between reward shaping, demonstrations, and policy shaping, we got a nice little set of ways that human beings can communicate to agents. So let's see. I know I did more than this. There were some examples that I used. What kind of examples did I use?
Well, in the policy shaping setting, we talked about Pac-Man.
Yeah. So we learned that Pac-Man is like the one example you should use for everything.
Sure. Except for what we did at the end, which was drama management.
Right. Right. We talked about drama management. And in particular, we introduced TDD MDPs.
Where TTD MDP has something to do with trajectories and drama.
Targets and stuff. That's exactly right. And I think we had a nice little conversation here tying some of these things back to things we did before. We actually returned and brought up again constraints and options as a way of doing coaching and communication and try to really drive home the point that, there's some human beings and they think a particular way, and then there are machines and they think a particular way. And we should try to move the machines closer to the humans rather than forcing the humans to come all the way over to the machines.
Yeah, I like that as a philosophy.
And that's really what I think is important. Yeah, that's a good philosophy. Well, I think that covers everything, Michael.
Nice.
I feel pretty good about that. Nice. So does this mean we're done? I think this means we're done with the class, kind of.
Oh, really? So maybe we should do some kind of wrap up to see how everything ties together.
Yeah, let's do that. That way I don't have to say goodbye. Why don't you come down to Atlanta? And maybe we can record some stuff together.
Great. I will have done that.
Perfect. Or is that perfect, or is that the past perfect, pluperfect?
Pluperfect.
Yeah, it's the pluperfect. Good. Pluperfect. Okay, Michael. Well, I will see you in Atlanta soon.
Bye, Charles.
Bye.